"Ma'am, you need to leave the premises immediately. You're making other customers uncomfortable," the security guard announced loudly as 54-year-old Dorothy Jackson stood quietly browsing winter coats at Macy's. Shoppers throughout the department store turned to stare as two more security officers approached the former Air Force pilot. Dorothy's jaw tightened as she felt dozens of eyes judging her, unaware that 23 years ago she had flown rescue missions over Bosnia, saving the lives of countless civilians trapped in a war zone. What happens next will shock you completely. If you believe every veteran deserves respect, smash that subscribe button and tell us in the comments. Have you ever been judged based on how you look instead of who you are? Stay tuned, because Dorothy's story will make you question everything about first impression. Dorothy Jackson had been looking forward to this shopping trip for weeks. Her daughter was getting married in 2 months, and Dorothy wanted to find the perfect mother of the bride outfit. At 54, she still carried herself with the straight posture of her military days, though her graying hair and simple clothes didn't reveal her distinguished service record. Westfield Shopping Center was busy that Saturday afternoon. Families walked. Through the corridors, teenagers gathered around the food court, and couples browsed store windows together. Dorothy felt comfortable in the crowd, just another shopper looking for something special. She had started at JCPenney, looking through their formal wear section. The sales associate there had been polite but distant, answering Dorothy's questions with short responses and avoiding eye contact. Dorothy was used to this treatment and didn't let it bother her. At Nordstrom, Dorothy found a beautiful navy dress that might work for the wedding. She asked to try it on, but the saleswoman told her the fitting rooms were closed for cleaning, even though Dorothy could see other customers going in and out. That's when she decided to try Macy's. The department store had a good selection of formal wear, and Dorothy hoped she might have better luck there. She was examining a burgundy dress when she noticed the security guard watching her. He was a young man, maybe in his 20s, with a serious expression and crossed arms. Dorothy continued shopping, but she could feel his eyes following her movements. When she picked up a jacket to look at the price tag, the guard moved closer. "Can I help you with something?" he asked, his tone suggesting he wanted to do anything. "But help. I'm just shopping for my daughter's wedding," Dorothy replied politely. The guard nodded but didn't move away. Instead, he positioned himself where he could watch everything Dorothy did. Other shoppers began to notice. A middle-aged white woman pulled her purse closer to her body when Dorothy walked past. A teenage girl whispered something to her friend, and they both stared. Dorothy felt her face grow warm with embarrassment, but she continued shopping. She had dealt with this kind of treatment before. The key was to stay calm and not give anyone a reason to escalate the situation. But the security guard seemed determined to find a problem. When Dorothy picked up a handbag to check if it would match the dress she was considering, the guard stepped forward. "Ma'am, I need to ask you not to handle the merchandise," he said loudly. "I'm shopping," Dorothy replied. "How am I supposed to shop without looking at things?" "You can look, but please don't touch," the guard insisted. By now, a small crowd had gathered. People pretended to shop while they watched the confrontation unfold. Dorothy could hear whispers and see people pointing in her direction. "This is ridiculous," Dorothy said, her military training helping her keep her voice steady. "I'm a paying customer just like everyone else here." The guard called for backup on his radio. Within minutes, 2 more security officers arrived. The situation was getting worse, and Dorothy knew she needed to either leave or prepare for a bigger confrontation. "Ma'am, we're going to have to ask you to leave," the first guard announced. "On what grounds?" Dorothy asked. "You're causing a disturbance," one of the other guards replied. Dorothy looked around at the crowd that had formed. She was standing quietly, holding a dress and a handbag, speaking in a normal tone of voice. The only disturbance was the one the security guards had created. "I haven't done anything wrong," Dorothy said. "Ma'am, please don't make this harder than it needs to be," the first guard said, moving closer. The crowd was getting bigger. People were taking out their phones to record what was happening. Dorothy realized that no matter how this ended, it was going to be humiliating. "Look at her getting all worked up," someone in the crowd muttered. "She's probably on drugs or something," another person added. Dorothy felt her military composure starting to crack. She had faced enemy fire over Bosnia without flinching, but being treated like a criminal in front of strangers was breaking her down in a different way. "I served this country for 20 years, Dorothy said, her voice getting louder. "I have every right to shop here." "Sure you did, lady," one of the guards replied with a smirk. The crowd laughed and Dorothy felt something inside her snap. "You want proof?" she asked, reaching into her purse. The security guards immediately tensed, thinking she might be reaching for a weapon. All three of them moved toward her, and the crowd stepped back in fear. "Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!" the first guard shouted. "Keep your hands where we can see them." Dorothy slowly pulled out her wallet and opened. It inside was her military ID card, still valid because of her veteran status. She held it up for everyone to see. "Major Dorothy Jackson, United States Air Force, retired," she announced. The guards looked at the ID, then at each other. They weren't sure what to make of this development. "Anyone can get a fake ID," one of them said, but his voice was less confident now. Dorothy reached back into her purse and pulled out her phone. She scrolled through her photos until she found what she was looking for. It was a picture of her standing in front of an F-16 fighter jet, wearing her flight suit and pilot gear. She held up the phone for the crowd to see. "I flew rescue missions over Bosnia," she said. "I saved civilian lives while people were shooting. That's my plane, and you're treating me like a criminal for shopping in a department store." The crowd went quiet. People who had been laughing and making jokes suddenly found themselves looking at their feet, but the security guards weren't backing down. "Ma'am, regardless of your military service, you still need to leave," the first guard said. "Why?" Dorothy demanded. "What exactly have I done wrong?" "You were acting suspicious," the guard replied. "Suspicious how?" Dorothy asked. "By looking at clothes? By checking price tags? By existing while black?" The last comment hung in the air like a challenge. Everyone knew that's what this was really about, but no one wanted to say it out loud. "Ma'am, please just leave peacefully and we won't call the police," one of the other guards said. Dorothy looked around at the crowd. These people had been ready to watch her get arrested for the crime of shopping. They had assumed she was a criminal, a drug addict, a troublemaker. None of them had considered that she might be someone who had served their country with honor. "Fine," Dorothy said. "I'll leave. But I want everyone here to remember this moment. Remember how quick you were to judge someone based on how they look. Remember how you treated a veteran who risked her life for your freedom." She walked toward the exit, her head held high despite the tears threatening to fall. The crowd parted to let her through, but no one met her eyes. As Dorothy reached the mall entrance, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned to see a young black woman in a Macy's uniform running to catch up. "Ma'am, wait!" the woman called out. Dorothy stopped and turned around. "I'm Ashley. I work in cosmetics. I saw what happened back there and I'm so sorry," the young woman said, breathing hard from running. "It's not your fault," Dorothy replied. "But it is," Ashley said. "I should have spoken up. I should have told those guards you were just shopping like everyone else. I was a coward." Dorothy studied Ashley's face. She looked young, maybe early 20s, with kind eyes and a genuine expression of regret. "You work here," Dorothy said. "Speaking up could have cost you your job. Some things are more important than jobs," Ashley replied. "My brother is in the Marines. If someone treated him the way they treated you, I'd want someone to stand up for him." Dorothy felt some of the anger and hurt begin to ease. This young woman's words reminded her that not everyone was willing to stand by and watch injustice happen. "Thank you, Ashley," Dorothy said. "That means more than you know." Ashley reached into her pocket and pulled out a business card. On the back, she wrote her personal phone number. "If you ever want to come back and shop here, call me first," Ashley said. "I'll make sure you're treated with the respect you deserve." Dorothy took the card and put it in her purse next to her military ID. As she walked to her car, Dorothy thought about all the times this kind of thing had happened to her. In restaurants, at banks, at stores across the country. People saw her skin color before they saw anything else about her. But she also thought about Ashley, and about the few people in the crowd who had looked uncomfortable with what was happening. Change was slow, but it was happening. That evening, Dorothy called her daughter to tell her about the shopping trip. "Mom, I'm so sorry that happened to you," her daughter said. "Are you okay?" "I'm okay," Dorothy replied. "But I keep thinking about all the other veterans who might be going through the same thing. people who served their country and come home to be treated like second-class citizens. Her daughter was quiet for a moment. "Mom, maybe you should tell your story. Maybe people need to hear it." Dorothy had never considered sharing her experiences publicly. She was a private person who preferred to handle problems quietly. But maybe her daughter was right. Maybe staying quiet was part of the problem. The next day, Dorothy did something she had never done before. She wrote about her experience and posted it on social media. She included the photo of herself with her F-16 and explained what had happened at the mall. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Hundreds of people shared her post. Fellow veterans reached out to share their own similar experiences. Community leaders offered to help her file complaints against the mall. But what surprised Dorothy most were the messages from young people like Ashley. People who said her story had opened their eyes to the prejudice that still existed in their community. A week later, Dorothy received a phone call from the mall manager. He apologized for what had happened and invited her to come back for a private shopping experience with a personal shopper. Dorothy declined the offer. "I don't want special treatment," she told him. "I want the same treatment every other customer gets. And I want to know that the next veteran who shops at your mall won't have to go through what I went through." The manager promised to provide additional training for security staff and to review their policies on customer interactions. Dorothy wasn't entirely convinced that things would change, but it was a start. A month later, Dorothy finally found the perfect Mother of the Bride outfit. She bought it at a small boutique downtown, where the owner treated her like family and thanked her for her military service. At her daughter's wedding, Dorothy wore her new dress with pride. During the reception, several guests approached her to thank her for sharing her story online. They told her it had made them think differently about how they treated strangers. As Dorothy danced with her new son-in-law, she reflected on how much had changed since that day at the mall. She was no longer the quiet veteran who suffered discrimination in silence. She had found her voice, and she was using it to make a difference. The young security guard who had kicked her out of the mall probably had no idea that his actions had awakened something powerful in Dorothy Jackson. He had intended to humiliate her, to make her feel small and unwelcome. Instead, he had reminded her that she was a fighter. And fighters don't back down from battles that matter. Dorothy Jackson had served her country in the skies over Bosnia, protecting innocent people from harm. Now she was serving her community in a different way, using her story to fight prejudice and promote understanding. Some battles are fought with aircraft and weapons. Others are fought with truth and courage. Dorothy was ready for both.